Chim and Hao. Hi comrades, it's me, Dennis Richard, and welcome back to Very Venture China. Today guys, you will be treated to a fascinating episode dedicated to no less than Chinese villages. What is it, where they are, how they transformed from A to B to the nowadays. Guys, especially for you, I went on a little trip to learn actually how people in Chinese countryside live, where they work, what they do with their leisure time, what they do with their hobbies, how the way of life in Chinese villages is structured. Is it structured at all? You know, guys, I was very interested in whether any modern technologies from mega cities like Guangzhou, Shenzhen have reached those small villages in rural areas in the middle of nowhere. So guys, believe me, it's gonna be breathtaking. Click thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, to the Very Venture China, so you're not gonna miss any videos. And guys, believe me, we work very hard with my team to produce the tons of crazy, amazing, fascinating content, mind-blowing. We show you the real China. We show you how things are really going on here and what is modern China, why you should trust us. So guys, that's why we need your support. Here we go, guys. Bang!
Do you think we can get close to these animals?
If we can find a way. Yep, you can do a handshake with...
Don't move, there's lizard.
Oh,
Big one, you see?
yeah. Holy Jesus.
Hanxi village. You know guys, that villages play a very important, a very significant role in China. So they are the basis for preserving the country's cultural heritage, and some are actually became tourist attractions, tourist centers. For most people, of course, China is all about mega cities or actually vacations at the seaside, like in Hainan Island. Few people actually see China as rural and unhurried, where instead of usual noise and din, there are birds singing and fish splashing in the pond. Even rows of tea is growing, endless, all the way up to the blue sky. Nowadays, many villages focus on tourism and offer city dwellers rest in the most comfortable conditions, actually, with all the benefits of civilization and technology, of course. So you can check into comfortable cottage, all amenities, and you will be surrounded by scenic views away from hustle and bustle. All right, so that said, if you need to go online or make an urgent call with your team or work remotely, actually, there will be no problems at all. So because the connection is excellent and the internet is always 5G, thanks to Huawei. Above all, guys, villages are actually custodians of Chinese traditional culture, including language, customs, handicrafts, festivals, plenty of different festivals. Even like, you know, further away the villages, more ancient customs and traditions are preserved. So even now, if you go to the countryside, you can easily find places where people need to speak English, even modern Chinese, and sometimes understandable there. So some villages are flooded with tourists, and that's how actually people in those villages became rich. At some parking lots, you cannot even find old cars. So all of them might be Range Rovers, Mercedes, BMW, some Japanese cars like Mazda and Volvo, and actually Volvo owned by Chinese car manufacturer. So guys, it's really crazy how everything turned out. The state is actually in turn is actively trying to preserve the cultural heritage here in China of those villages, right? So for example, the village of Nezhenjiang has always been famous for its clay products. However, until recently, the prospects for this traditional craft looked bleak, primarily because clay toys were not sold, right? And the number of new apprentices learning the secrets of figure make was dwindling. So, what saved the backward village? First, the clay tigers were on the intangible cultural heritage protection list. Then additional funds were allocated from the government to develop industrial production, e-commerce, logistics solutions, right? So the total investment since 2008 has amounted to 20 million yuan. To date, Xinjiang country has employed more than 5,000 people in manufacturing, and they produce 400,000 tigers yearly. The annual sales revenue exceeds 10 million yuan. So this is one of the examples how they make money in villages, using cultural heritage and involving people, local people on those manufacture sites.
Is it like a hotel or what?
No, not hotel. Technology company, express.
Ah,
Factories, misc factories.
So China's rural areas are now being actively included in national development strategies. So roads, bridges, they're all being built actually here in villages, and every possible way to improve them and make life easier for local residents is being tried, right? So the state and private developers actively purchase land from villagers. This is also how people became rich here. The village also we visited in this video already differ from the cities. They being actively modernized and equipped with modern infrastructure. In those villages, actually, I mean, I've seen like plenty of different videos on YouTube. I have seen plenty, documentary about those villages, and sometimes it doesn't look exactly like they show in the videos. Currently, it's pretty difficult to find the real village here in south of China. the village that you would imagine, like with the rice fields and everything. So I would say that the state and private developers, private investors, they really made a lot of progress into those villages. They brought a lot of progress, and they helped villagers not only to make the living, but they helped them to make it, to make a lot of money for them. So plenty of them became filthy rich. That's why we've seen Ferraris, Lamborghini in those villages. So sometimes it's really crazy, and why they buy those cars for villages. So just to impress others. I don't know. This is the question we probably will answer later on. But guys, you know what? Those villages, they are full of modern infrastructure. So many disadvantaged villages have been converted into tourist attractions, right? So this happened to Miao village in Wuzhou province, located in southwest China. In the early 2000s, the village of 6,000 people was deplorable. The average income per capita was at most 2,000 yuan, right? However, the decision in 2008 to turn it into an open-air museum dramatically changed the situation. The village was supplied with electricity, centralized water supply, heating, improved transport accessibility, renovated residential buildings, and opened new museums and hiking trails. In total, about 170 million yuan was invested in infrastructure modernization. So, as you can imagine, those improvements, these measures, have increased the number of tourists visiting the village by more than tenfold. So, consequently, the total income from tourist activities has brought more than 10 billion yuan to the village treasury in 10 years. The income per capita rose to 20,000 yuan, about $2,800 in 2021. So guys, what about Xi Jinping? Xi Jinping has always paid special attention to village development, and whether he was secretary of the country party committee of the CCP, Central Committee General Secretary, he always cared about ordinary people. He always took them as a priority number one. So, for example, in Shanding country, first as deputy secretary and then as secretary of the CCP party committee, Xi Jinping often rode his bicycle through the villages and visited all of them in 3 years. Under his leadership, the once-backed country flourished and embarked on the development path. While working in the city of Fuzhou, the future leader of China created a unique system of meetings between local officials and representatives of the people. And he and his colleagues received several hundreds people daily and discussed dozens of controversial issues. As the leader of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping continued to inspect villages. So a few weeks ago, he visited rural areas in Shanxi province, in the town of Nangou, which has a population of about 1,000 people. The CCP leader toured orchards, discussed apple growing techniques with farmers, inquired about their incomes, and urged local officials to pay more attention to modernizing the agricultural sectors. He is really highlighting a lot of valuable topics for the local people. That's why people in China really value him, because there is basically no gap between leader of the country and its own people, even in the rural areas of China. That's crazy. Please name me at least one leader in the world who is doing the same thing in the countries size like China. So the leadership is not only about the international politics, but also how leaders of those countries are treating their own people who actually do all the hard work to make its citizens, to deliver its citizens food, to deliver its citizens goods. That's amazing, guys. That's really amazing, and showing the example how leaders should respect their own citizens.
And these people, these two, they're not the local. They're the construction workers. Many workers come from the other province. Seek a Guangzhou dream.
Guangzhou dream.
We started our adventure today at Hanxi village. So what was immediately surprising for me was the checkpoint at the village entrance, guys. So this practice applies not only here, but even cabs are not allowed into town. Only locals can get in by car, by showing the card. And visitors can only get in by bicycles or using a motorcycle or scooter, right? There is an impression of certain closeness, and of course the people themselves were not very friendly and didn't want to communicate. Another interesting detail in the temple right at the village entrance, which is also a hallmark of most villages here. And first impression here were that very different from my expectations, and guys, we're gonna touch it and talk about it in the next section of this episode. As I mentioned, guys, modern China, modern Chinese villages are not really villages anymore. So why is that? Because local land is being actively bought up for development and people are becoming more affluent and prosperous. So the size of Chinese village is comparable to, and for sometimes even more extensive than some towns in Finland. So for me, it was a big surprise. Why you guys call this huge city a village? So to my scale and to Finnish scale, European scale, Chinese villages are sometimes even bigger than local cities. There's increasingly modern buildings and cafes on the streets, so you can see sometimes even like skyscrapers nearby the village. That's crazy. So the asphalt is smooth there. Many countries, counters and stores accept payments via QR codes. So Alipay, WeChat, Weixin, right? Whatever you want. And whatever you buy, always you can actually conduct your payment with one of these, with either of those apps or with both of them. So guys, not far from the villages, right? There are often small factories. So during our trip, we saw factories producing oil, televisions, for instance, monitors, both like food, agricultural stuff, and electronics, like crazy, in one village, one at a time. And this, apart from creating jobs, actually also a significant impact. It has a very significant impact actually on the infrastructure, because to run those factories, you need to create enough of energy and you need to provide housing to people, right? So some people, maybe local people, don't want to work for those factories as they have enough of money because they sold the land to the city, right? And they made enough money not to work, or they own apartments and they rent out. So they're basically live on those royalties that they're receiving from people who are actually renting apartments from them. So guys, thanks to the factories, those modern roads are being built in the villages, bridges being built, right? Housing is being constructed for guest workers, so people becoming rich, the economy is growing. In this way, as I'm telling now, what's expressing, so the villages are more like small European towns. So it's not a village that you can imagine that you're growing rice there for survival. Maybe now people are growing rice there to fulfill their hobby or their will to produce something with their own hands, because They have enough of money just to go to the local store and grab 10 kilos of rice. But of course, guys, there are also classical rural farms, but they are of the modern type. So these are large technological enterprises that are under heavy guard. If you were expecting to see rice paddies, free-ranging cattle, no, guys, there is no longer the case here, right? As I already told you. So you can still see such things somewhere in hinterland, but not in the villages close enough to the mega cities. So we were driving 50 kilometers from the city and still we couldn't find it. But on the older maps, we could see that there's like a rice field. But now when you arrive, you see some skyscrapers, you see the drilling, like sort of mining, because in a couple of years from now, is according to the city plan, there will be a new metro station or a train station. So that's like fascinating how quickly everything changes. So sometimes maps, city maps, cannot actually catch up on the plan of the city, what is happening actually there. Yeah, that's cool, guys, definitely. Guys, but at the same time, as we talk about it, hey, it's very hard to find a real village. It's worth noting that the village spirit is still in there, is still in these villages. You can still find old bulletin boards here, where people actually, with handwriting, apply some advertisement there. With the help of this, people are looking for work, selling crops, renting houses, finding even spouse or for dating purposes, right? It's bulletin road. Bulletin board actually is something like from the Witcher 3, but without the monster order. So in the center of the village, guys, stand the park and the House of Culture of Communism, the CCP house, which hosts concerts, movie screening, other shows for the locals, and like some cultural activities as well. So you can come there and actually present your initiative. So let's say, or if you have seen something weird, so you can always come there and talk, discuss the topic that you want a government to know about. Let's say something regarding the development, or you would like to have a swimming pool, or you want more shops like this, or you want to file an issue with the road or anything like that. So any problem, whatever you want, or whatever is in the city you want to be improved, you can easily apply for the solution to the CCP House of Culture in the city, in this village, right? The culture house here in the village is one of the critical entertainment points for the locals actually as well. Private agriculture is also survived, so some people can still raise in the ponds fish, they like to raise chicken, geese, something small, right? And some actually people, they also prefer to keep their own lands there and grow food in this land. So they would like to have a garden, right? Not with flowers, but with melons, tomatoes, cucumbers. It's not, of course, on the huge scale, as there is no special need for it, but it impacts the village atmosphere. So anyway, you can come and see how it was actually. It's like, nowadays, it's like sort of a museum, but people actually perform their duties there. They sort of pay debt to the ancestors, as generation by generation they've been doing this, and simply, even they have money, they would like to continue doing this, as this is a sort of spiritual ritual for them, connect with the land. And guys, speaking of religion and tradition, right, everything is also exciting here. So every village has an ancestral temple. That was a surprise to me. There are actually even small family temples. The richer you are, the richer village is, bigger and newer those family temples are. So at the entrance, you will be asked for an ID. And if you have no relation to the locals of your ancestors do not belong to this temple or to the family name, you will simply not be allowed in. An outsider cannot get in. So that's also why we couldn't make any footage of this place, of course, because we couldn't simply get in. And this is the first time in all my time in China that I have been prevented from entering the temple. This closeness, careful attitude, love for ancestors perfectly show the attitude towards religion in China. So the ancestors in China is considered to be saint. In my religion video, guys, you can learn more about religious teaching, practices, ancestral attitudes, and what the Chinese people believe in. Click on a tooltip in the upper right corner to go to the section about Chinese religion. Believe me, guys, this material is fascinating. Especially we got a discussion with a professor in religions from China. Hi everyone. I'm back with some exciting updates on our latest business ventures. First of all, we are deep in negotiations with BYD, finalizing plans to release the episode about Chinese cars making their mark in Europe. This is going to be a game changer, guys, I promise you, and I can't wait to share with you more details. I'm also consulting with a major player in Guangzhou and Shanghai, helping them to navigate complex market challenges, regulatory landscapes, and generally how to get the goods from point A to point B, to China, from China, and so on. So we are aiming to streamline the operations in these key regions, and it's already actually showing quite a promising progress. Another one that recently I secured a request for a service contract. It's valued actually some significant number, guys, over 100K. So once we're gonna do it, we're expecting to close it actually by the end of November. So next year we're gonna do it. Fingers crossed, and let's hope for the best, right? It's solid opportunity, and believe me or not, but that will add a really significant value to our portfolio and for the current project as well. It's tremendous progress, guys. So additionally, I'm currently in talks with a tech company exploring market expansion in Southeast Asia, actually. And we're working on strategic positioning to ensure the smooth entry and competitiveness in this region. So guys, also another exciting development, and this is I'm currently developing negotiating with a European startup looking to integrate AI into their supply chain. And this could actually revolutionize how they handle logistics and operations, especially tremendously important. Actually, I would highlight this another time, but yeah, for Chinese companies this is also very useful. So the project is gaining momentum fast, and also finally, guys, we are preparing for the Slush conference. It's gonna be in Finland, where we are eyeing potential collaborations with other venture capital firms and startups, and we might even, with your support of course, we might even bring an entire episode about this event for you guys. So you're gonna learn with us how it affects current markets, what is it, what are current trendy startups, trendy technologies, and all of it we're gonna show you in the end of November as well, guys. So stay tuned, keep the engagement coming, and thanks you. I would like to thank you for being part of this journey, guys. That's all for today. And really, guys, I really hope that you found this video as exciting as I find it. And I hope that you discovered Chinese villages from different perspectives, different angles of view, and you formed your own opinion. I highly recommend you spending one of your vacations in one of many Chinese tourist villages. Such a vacation is a great way to reboot after a hard year of work. In those villages, you will simply forget about hustle and bustle, just enjoy nature and harmony and Chinese practices. So remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with your friends and family. Let's stay tuned for more exciting content in the future, guys. Upcoming videos, I promise you. And see you soon. Thank you very much. It's been me, Dennis Richard. Cool to have you here, guys, at Very Venture China. See you guys.